New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
It is the Practical Prayer Podcast pre-show on New Thought Media Network. I am Bill Marchiony over here. That's Carol over there. And you guys have been around for a while, so you probably know the drill that we get together every Monday afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, to record an episode of the Practical Prayer Podcast. This is episode number 213. So we've been at it for a while, as they say. Eventually we'll get it right.
I hope not. I really hope not. In my experience, getting it right gets boring. You know, that means you got to go to traditional and follow the rules, and it just no room to breathe. So now I hope we don't get it like that.
Okay. We won't get it that right.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, and so we're going to start recording the podcast episode in a couple minutes. And for those of you who are watching live on New Thought Media Network, you can put a comment or suggestion into the comments, and we can respond in real time. And if you are watching the recording and have that same sort of urge, you can go to the website at bethelight.com, be-the-light.com. There's a section for practical prayer in the podcast and a button where you can make a similar comment, prayer request, inquiry, suggestion, or objection. And we will be happy to take that under advisement in a future show. So, and we're talking about challenging times, or these times, or time unfolding, or something today, or perhaps all of it.
Yeah.
Or will be.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it. And I guess that's the foundation, but I'm, moving toward discussing like what is called upon us in these changing times, because times have always been changing. Mm-hmm. And it's always been changing, and sometimes we'll look at it and say, well, history is repeating, and there is some truth to that if you study it that way. But what is being, I happen to be here, 2025, at this time during all this whatever it is that's going on. Mm-hmm. I personally believe in sacred contracts, so this was my contractual agreement to be here. And so from that, my question to myself would be, what is being called upon me at this time, since I am privileged to be here? I survived the pandemic, exceptionally well. And so why is that? It goes into purpose and all of that, but without getting so incredibly deep, there's, which we can do, just think about that.
Yeah. I tell you what we'll do. Let's get the podcast episode underway, and then, of course, you get to say most of that again.
I don't know if I can.
We'll paraphrase it, or we'll make up something different, because, that's the way it works.
A practical prayer is a prayer that works.
These discussions between Reverend Bill Marchiony and Carol Lawrence dive into the details of how it works and how to work it.
Reverend Bill is a New Thought minister and the author of Practical Prayer for Real Results.
Your new life begins with a new thought.
Carol Lawrence is on a spiritual quest, finding the new thought teaching after decades on the pulpit in 3 different traditional denominations.
I've got some questions.
Together, they're exploring the philosophy and activities that come together from many of the world's religions to create the practical spirituality that is New Thought.
Welcome to the Practical Prayer Podcast. I'm Carol, here with Reverend Dr. Bill Marchiony.
Looking forward to another exciting conversation, interesting, fascinating conversation. And I think I say that every episode, but it hasn't gotten old yet. So, 213 episodes in, there's still something interesting to be talking about. And for a change, we're going to be talking about changing times.
Yeah. I thought about this because how can you not think about this with the way things are going on? And sometimes we seek to understand it through the lens of history or whatever lens you tend to look at, but it's still happening. And so whether you think that history is repeating or whatever, you take a moment and say, wait a minute, what is being called or what is required of me in this moment beyond my own survival? I don't think about that much because, listen, I went to the grocery store and I said, well, I'm going to lose a lot of weight because the prices were so high. I started, and I was like chuckling in the grocery store, which was probably crazy because who's laughing except for me? And I'm thinking, okay, fine. And something that one of my kids said to me years ago, Mom, she'll eat bread and water just to get through the meal so she can get back to what she wants to get back to. She doesn't care. So I'm thinking about like surviving in the moment. What's being called upon us to release or pick up, surviving in the moment. And then one more thing, that I mentioned during the pre-show is that I'm very much a believer in sacred contracts. So I see my presence at this moment as a fulfillment. I am fulfilling a contractual agreement between me and Spirit. So I take that very seriously. It helps me to focus where I'm going. Also, and I mentioned this in the pre-show, all this matters. I survived the pandemic exceptionally well. Mm-hmm. I lost friends. Don't get me wrong. I lost friends, and my great respect and honor to those of you who did. I want to make sure I say that. But I survived it really well. And then there's that question that I have a standstill moment and say, you survived a very difficult time extremely well. You are extremely healthy. Everything in your world is very good. I mean, I got crap like everybody else, but it's
We all do.
But that aside, everything is good. I'm here, but here we are in an extremely challenging time, which can be exceptionally fearful in a lot of ways to some people, yet I am here. So what is being called upon me in this moment? Because clearly, I know how to survive myself. And you know what I mean? Just on a general, like I said, the supermarket, okay, no big thing. I don't like the idea, but I can put the thing back.
Right.
And, that's a small thing. But what is being called upon me to help others, to lead, to do what I do in the world? What do I need to do that? Mm-hmm. And so that's where my head is kind of going right now.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, that's what my daily meditations have been turning into. Is like, given the situation that's here now, how do I open to what's mine to do? And it might be about bringing good and peace and harmony and love into the world, and it might be about the first of the month is coming up and being in balance about that. But there are I'm not going to call them little. because for people who are struggling with the rent, making the rent is pretty big. And for other people, it's stomping out fascism again. Which seems big to them or us. And there's always something new that's happening. And if we divide up our time into units, then we get this false construct of what happened in the past, what's happening in the future, what's happening now, and we can measure it because this was 10 minutes ago, and this was 10 years ago, and this was 100 years ago, and this is right now, and then in the future, in 10 minutes or 10 days or 10 weeks or whatever the construct is going to be. The only time that we really have is now. And what we bring to now is all of the gifts that we have that are innate, that we were born with, and the other ones that we have developed, either learned or by cultivating those gifts that we've been given. And so as we are engaging with these changing times, we're changing too. And, you're talking about sacred contracts. That's not something I think that some external force preordains and says, here's your sacred contract, this is what you're there to do. Suit up and get going, Carol. I think it's a much more intimate and integrated process because we keep on talking. And this teaching is about the oneness. There's only one divine power and presence. There's one life, one love, one essence, one source that's sharing itself as all of its creation. So before we make our grand entrance into human life here on Earth, we have no idea what was going on. There's, as far as we're concerned, this experience began with spank on the bottom, wah, okay, and we take it from there,
right.
and we learn some stuff, and eventually we become capable of advanced things like walking and feeding ourselves, etc. It's possible that before that, before we individualized into human form, that we are very much aware and completely understanding the oneness, and we are aware of everything that's ever happened, and all of the pieces and all of the ways that it can unfold. And the sacred contract is saying, hey, I'm going to go have a Carol experience. All right, and I'm going to have I'm going to do what's going to be required for the Carol experience, and here's the toolkit I want to bring with me. Okay, I'm suiting up for this adventure. And it's, like the adventurous people have all sorts of different wardrobes. And if you're going to go duck hunting, then you wear different clothes than if you're going to go scuba diving, and which is different than if you're going to go alpine climbing or skiing. And, the thought of showing up at a ski trip with scuba tanks is awkward. So what we do is we understand kind of what the mission's going to be, and this lifetime is going to be about this particular sort of adventure. And these are the tools I'm going to bring with me. And maybe, we say, just for fun, I'm going to leave one out to give myself a little challenge and see what happens. How do I make do on this particular task without that one? I don't know. I have no idea. I do know it's love unfolding. And none of this is done as punishment. This is all done as opportunity. So then we get into the experience, and we get to figure out what's in the toolbox, what we are costumed and equipped for, and how we can bring our best to the situation and make the situation the best it can be. It's an interactive process once we're here, and we get to play it blind because we're not aware of what everybody else is thinking.
Yeah, and I think with that last line is that all of it was important what you said. The last line really caught my attention. We don't know what everybody else is thinking. I'm extremely focused on myself with regard to everybody else. Like, what do you need at this moment? And it just has to do with maybe the way I see myself in the world. I did a talk recently on your necessariness, how you are necessary. And that means a personal focus on yourself. And a lot of other things came, but listen to this. I have a sense of my necessariness in the world. I stay in that lane I don't screw around other places. I stay right in my lane. And this is so interesting. I'm holding on to my seat right now because something just happened between my last and this podcast. I went on Amazon. Can I say Amazon? I can say
You can say Amazon. It's a big forest in Brazil.
And up jumped a book, and I almost just went out of my chair because I wanted this book for a couple of years, but I was too cheap to buy it. It was like it was like $160 some dollars, and I said, I just can't do this, right? But there it was. It jumped up, and it was so beyond half price. I just looked at it, and I don't know if somebody can understand what I'm saying. I almost had tears in my eyes because I had wanted that book so much before and just got away from it. And now in it has what I need to further enhance what I want. Always thought that, but right now it just like showed up today. And it showed up at a price that's no biggie to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at that and I thought, so the idea of sacred contract and all that came in, and I'm thinking, Spirit, thank you so, so much for this. I was so grateful that I was like forgetting to push the button that says, buy it now or whatever. I'm not kidding you. I was just going through it because it was so God, like it was such a God moment. And I thought, is this really happening to me? Yes, it's happening to you because this is you are fulfilling your sacred contract. You're committed to that. This is your necessariness. You're always thinking about that. And this is a tool that you have wanted, that you believe is going to help you. I'm going through all of this before I even hit the buy button.
You did remember to buy it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I almost forgot, though. I'm not kidding you. And I know I'm a weirdo. I know that. And I know people probably think, what, but that's just like, that's me. And I'm thinking like, at this moment, what I thought I needed so much, and I really think I needed, it just came. It just came. And it was I'm not paying that much for that book. I didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
It just came.
Yeah. And that actually brings up, I sometimes say that God would be the most boring companion at a cocktail party because you'd say, hey, God, did you ever, yes. You know the one about yes. You ever wonder about no? And all of that. I do think, though, that the infinite creative power that creates everything has a sense of humor. And one of the things that probably is joyful is when one of these situations happens. Where, all right, here's Carol who really wants this book and has for a long time and has forgotten about it. And here's the opportunity for the book to be, on way deep discount. So let's just arrange for Carol to find the book on sale and then watch how much fun that is. And it turns into a nice conversation. It's just a little bit of delight. It's kind of like if you have two friends and they get into a relationship and you discover that one of them is going to propose to the other one. And it's going to be a surprise, but you know when it's going to happen. And you make it your business to be nearby so you can watch because it's just going to be fun.
It's just going to be fun.
It's just going to be fun to watch. So, and it's part of the sacred contract because you are doing the work. There's a reason that you want the book. And, for a lot of people, it's, okay, here's a winning lotto ticket or a book. And it's like, give me the lotto ticket. And this is an opportunity for there to be enrichment and uplift in your life from something that to other people would seem either irrelevant or inconsequential. Mm-hmm. Ooh, the book went on sale. Like, okay.
But when, it feels like a connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's what matters to me in my life. Like maybe I take life too seriously, whatever. Then that's just how I do it. It matters to me, and things that happen that help me with that, I just go over the moon excited
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just one human being in what 7 billion,
8 now,
right?
yeah.
8 billion. So I mean, like nobody's going to find me really. It's just like whoever knows me. You know what I mean? But it's about purpose. It's about clarity of purpose, and it's maybe a heightened sensitivity to that, whatever you want to call it. And then something happens that is a confirmation of my what I think of as my purpose, is a confirmation of God being attuned or alignment, all those nice fancy words. But I also think about the time. This is such an important time, and this is such an important thing that will help me with what I think is necessary in this time. And it might be necessary for 3 people, who knows? But it's
And it
there.
also could be transformational for the whole planet. And who knows?
And who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Go ahead. I'll just leave that for later. You go
Yeah.
ahead.
So we've been doing a series of listening sessions where people get together and talk about what it's like to be dealing with the times the way they are now. And I have no idea what's going to be happening. I mean, I'm reading the tea leaves and predicting things, and also knowing that I can't possibly predict. Are we headed for another dark ages, or is there some transformation that's about to happen? And one of the things that keeps coming up is that something that is present now that has not been present previously is this teaching. I mean, it was kind of hidden. The New Thought teaching, your new life begins with a new thought. That we're part of that one infinite creative power that's creating everything, and that we can intentionally create. And all of the studies and all of the research and all of the knowledge that has come about. I've done a lot of work studying with the work of John Hawkins. I'm sorry, David Hawkins. And David Hawkins. And he calibrated the veracity of the universe. So you can measure the truthfulness of anything, and also the spiritual power of anything. And it's a logarithmic scale. So positive, loving, uplifting, enlightened presence and thought far outweighs the reptilian see it, kill it, eat it that we seem to have drifted into. And interestingly, in a democracy, you get the same head count. You go by head count rather than by consciousness count. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Is it possible that consciousness is expanding to the point that the head count becomes irrelevant? And in spite of what people are doing, or taking rights away and things like that there's a bigger transformation underway? And the answer is, I don't know. But I do set my intention that in these changing times, that it's changing for upliftment and for the better. I don't think we need to go backwards and try and relive things that happened in the past.
Yeah, you said, so I'm going to go back to something that you said to maybe 2 months ago. It wasn't that far back, when we were talking about the changing times, and something similar to what you said now, looking for the good in it and the uplift and so forth. And initially, if you're looking at things just from this is what's happening point of view, like externally, this is what's happening, you think, how in the heck can anything good come out of this? And this is all horrible and everything. And I'm not saying that it isn't, because it is. However, it's okay, let's take a step back a little bit and remember that there is a such thing as good. There is a such thing as unfolding, because things unfold. So I want to get a glimpse of what is good, what is possibly good out of this. Much has been taken away, much has been lost, but that which remains and will return would be really good, right? So some things probably needed to be taken away. Some things probably did. And if I believe in the good, and I do, then I look at that and say, okay, in whatever, the good is going to unfold. We will see it. What is mine to do to help either bring about the good or help us cope until the good gets here, that we can, identify that good. So it's not being victimized by what's happening. It's sort of standing in your agency and saying, this it's happening to me too. The whole thing is happening to me too. And I can see the trickle down effect. But in the meantime, I'm not going to lose whatever that because this good is going to unfold.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. It just is.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break, and before we do that, I'm gonna do two things. First off, I'm gonna mention that Thomas Jefferson once wrote that a little rebellion from time to time is a good thing. So perhaps it is time for a little rebellion, or maybe a little more rebellion. And the other thing is going to be a question. You get to think about this during the break, which is, if you go back through history, what do you think is the most important technological advance for humankind? And it's a matter of opinion. And let's think about it.
Get inspiration in an instant. God calls are the gentle and uplifting moment of truth to help you remember that the bright light of God's love is shining right now as you.
It's your God Call with Reverend Bill.
Start your 2-week free trial today, and you'll get a phone call 4 times a week from Reverend Bill with an uplifting half-minute message filled with insight, wisdom, story, and fun.
Let your light shine.
You can answer the call to listen to it live or let it go to voicemail so you can hear it later. After the free trial, your subscription is just $5.95 a month. The details are at godcall.org. God calls are disruptive, intentionally.
Whenever you write something, put on a gold star.
They take you away from your routine to remind you about the truth of who you really are. They come at random times between 8:15 a.m. and 6 p.m., so you won't be expecting them. And somehow, the message is exactly what you need to hear at the time.
Magic is loose in the world.
It's a moment of motivation in the middle of your day. Find out more and start your 2-week free trial now at godcall.org.
Welcome back to the Practical Tongue-tied. All excited about this. Okay. Welcome back to the Practical Prayer Podcast. I'm Carol, here with Reverend Dr. Bill Marchiony.
And you are very excited to be thinking about the greatest technological advancement in human history. And of course, it's a matter of opinion. People have different ideas, that it might be something very recent like the internet or artificial intelligence, or something very ancient like the invention of the wheel. What do you think it is?
I did think about that a lot, and I came up with the telephone.
The telephone,
Because I
okay.
thought, because that was the beginning of communication beyond what could be imaginable.
An information category. Interesting. And the telephone, the telegraph, and then the telephone and radio and internet and all of that has brought us all very much closer together. The steam engine was very important. The light bulb basically extended the day in a dramatic way. But I think that the most important advancement, and it doesn't usually make the list, is indoor plumbing.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah. The amount of time that we don't spend going down to the well and carrying water back home so that we can use it and having to take it out of pails and buckets and so forth is huge. Or even if we have a well in our house and we go down to the main sink and pump the water out of the well and then take it around the house to use it. And then, of course, there's that, what shall we use the euphemism, night soil. What do you do with the stuff that now just goes down the drain? And, set aside the time savings. Set aside the convenience. Just think about the health implications. Mm-hmm. With all of that around and no running water, there's not washing hands. All of the bacterial age still exists, and there's not enough antibiotics in the world to make up for that. So That was a huge change. And it doesn't get any press. And if you go to a house or a place to stay that does not have running water, and you get to rough it for a little while, you come to appreciate just exactly how valuable that is. So, as the times change, it's easy to forget how much transformation has already happened, how much has already changed, and to be worried about going back, to the dark ages. We're not going back to no indoor plumbing. Mm-hmm. We're not even going back to no internet unless something really bad happens. And it becomes more a question of, in these changing times, how do I bring my best self to it? And you and I have spent long lifetimes doing lots of different things, and so we have a body of experience and knowledge, and we're not nearly as surprised as 20-somethings are by the way things are changing and shifting. Mm-hmm. What is it they're calling now, the Gen Z stare?
Is that what it is?
As you ask somebody young and they just look at you, like, and sometimes it's in the Starbucks, and sometimes I had an experience like that with FedEx office a couple of weeks ago. Just outside of my frame of reference, and just like a blank sort of disconcerting, empty look. Mm-hmm. So we're not dealing with that because we have seen these things come together for a while. And the questions that you started with, what's mine to do and what's being called for now? And those are two sides of the same coin. Because what's being called for now, what's going to be transformative today, is something that I can be intentional about and support even if I'm not doing it myself. And what's mine to do is, when am I going to pick up a shovel or a pen or fill in the blank and take action and share my gifts in a specific, direct way? And it's not like only some of us have a gift. Everybody's an individualization of the divine power and presence. We all have a gift, mm-hmm. and some of us have a good idea of what it is, and some of us are still subject to surprise. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I have friends from college who've been doing the same thing since high school that they're doing in their lives now. And they're happy, and they're productive, and they've been focused, and they've been growing and expanding in what they're doing. And I've done like 9 different careers, and none of them have anything to do with each other. And it's different for me. So, but interestingly, still the same set of gifts. Still the same stuff that I'm repackaging and rearranging and using slightly differently. And at some point I figure, well, I don't need that anymore. I went into ministry full-time 5-6 years ago. I thought, well, all that technical stuff that I've been doing for a long time, my degree from film school, I don't need that anymore. And then, boom, 3 months later, everything is on Zoom.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Bill's the guy who knows how to plug a camera into that thing.
I use the term today, your necessariness. Not even sure if that's a word, but it worked for me.
It is now.
It is now. Yeah, it's sitting with yourself for a moment and saying, okay, I'm not just a lump of flesh that showed up. Because it's got to be a purpose to all of this. Whether we know, let's don't get too worried about the bigger purpose. It's just that I'm here. And so what am I about? And I think about my whole life. I've looked at certain people and admired certain gifts and said, well, look, I can't do that. Yeah, and it's not like I can't. It's like, listen, I would have loved, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to negotiate my next life. I would have loved to be a jazz keyboardist, right? And I can tinker around on a keyboard a little bit. I could have got caught up in that and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do because this makes me work. Listen, first of all, Carol, you're okay, but you ain't, you know what I mean? That's
Mm-hmm.
not your purpose. That's not what you're here. Amuse yourself and then get back to work, kind of deal.
Yep.
And I'm cool with that. I'm cool. So it's what is mine. And the more I explored that, and it seemed to me, Spirit things came in my way, to help me say, "Oh, this is nice." Oh, like I have a whole lot of okay, 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 and excuse me, but I'm coming off of like several hours of Neville, so. Neville gets the fourth Sunday in my world, so I'm kind of Neville-ish. I came up with that word yesterday. I'm still a little Neville-ish, and Neville talks about the bridge of incidents, and so as I look at my life that way, I look at what has been become available to me on this bridge of incidents, and it's been ooh. Okay, so today was a big ooh. And I don't know, I don't know what this means in the scheme of things. I may never know, but I don't need to. I really don't. I know that it's something, and the fact that I know that is hugely enough for me. And that supersedes all the crazy. Now, that may be my way of coping with it. I don't know. Maybe I need a shrink. Who knows? But in my way of coping with any out of orderness is to see my order within it. And that matters to me, and it matters to other people as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so Neville's bridge of incidents is things happen, and we move through life, and as we do that, the incidents that happen to us form and inform who we are. And so the next time we have an experience, we have that in our memory and in our learning system, so the next incident unfolds differently. Yeah? Did I paraphrase okay?
That, yeah, it's not seeing everything as an end, because I have an end game in my mind, and that's what Neville encourages, and others as well. Even the Bible tells us to, the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. So you have a focal point, and all of this other stuff that happens is supportive, if I could say it that way, of your getting to that desired reality. And I'm hugely excited about that, because even when stuff happens that's not so cool, that's not so good, like the time that we're moving through now, that is also a part of, it's like a storm, and you're going through a storm. You have what's necessary to get through that storm. You really do. And the storm will end. And what will I be like at the end of it? And how have I helped other people be their best and survive it and then go on?
Yeah.
And it's knowing that you are necessary. And I don't expect, every day my heart sings over certain things that I do. I don't expect anybody at the end to throw me a parade or a party or even send me a note. It's that I am so excited today, like just over a book. I'm so excited over a book because it was, oh my goodness, I know where I'm trying to get to, and this is going to help me. And that keeps happening. And sometimes it doesn't always happen in an exciting way. Sometimes you don't get what you want, but that's a part of it too.
Yeah.
And it's like keeping your eye on a bigger thing, the goodness. And everything that unfolds is a part of that.
Yeah. So you're talking about Endgame, and there was a God call that I did recently, where basically it says, okay, we know how this is going to come out. There's going to be a bunch of people standing around telling life stories about you, and then they're going to go to lunch. So, I mean, if you want to look at the big end game, that's it. What happens right before that? Hopefully love and unfolding in peace and harmony, and then before that, some message, some reminder, some idea that what we've accomplished in our life has been important. And every once in a while you hear back from somebody, that thing that you said yesterday or 6 years ago, it really resonated with me and it changed my life, and this is how it's changed. And I get to hear some of those stories, and those are awesome. Those are awesome. Those are wonderful reminders of why I do all of this spiritual work. Doing it for myself is wonderful, and then being able to reflexively do the same sort of thing with other people. And then having them say, oh, that was so helpful. It's like, cool. I'm glad I was able to do that. And and there are lots of little end games that happen along the time. So let's take another break, and then we will do a practical prayer and wind all this stuff together.
Learn to put practical prayer to work in your life. The steps are simple to learn and let you begin to get real results to create the life of your dreams immediately. Reverend Bill Marchiony's widely acclaimed book, Practical Prayer for Real Results, gives you a clear summary of the New Thought principles behind practical prayer and the series of easy-to-understand steps found in the most effective prayers from religions and spiritual practices all over the world and throughout history. Practical prayer is not a replacement for your religion or practice. It's a technique to make the work you do in consciousness even more effective. The book includes 40 prayers on various topics that you can adapt as needed and use as your own. Practical Prayer for Real Results is available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook on Amazon or at b-the-light.com. That's b-the-light.com.
Welcome back to the Practical Prayer Podcast. I'm Carol, here with Reverend Dr. Bill Marchiony.
Lovely conversation about changing times without really touching on the challenging times that we're dealing with now, which is just fine because there's plenty of people willing to talk about that and talk about that some more and some more and some more. But the idea of changing times, of being able to engage in the moment and bring our best selves to it, is really important. That's, I think, what the prayer is going to be about. And to use the phrase that you used before, Carol, we're into a prayer that involves your necessariness and ties that together with the bridge of incidence. Because when something is looking to unfold, when something is ready to happen, it needs an agent of change and it needs a channel through which it can unfold. And we like to think that we are the same from minute to minute and day to day and breath to breath. And it seems that way. You know, here I am in the same room that I've been in for years and doing the same sort of thing that I've been doing for years, and so are you. And the fact of the matter is, we are on the surface of a sphere that's spinning every 24 hours, that is orbiting the sun every 365 days, that is part of a galaxy that is expanding and moving and whirling and twisting. And the combined velocity is we're moving about 67,000 miles an hour, which comes out to over 1,000 miles a minute. And if you want to do the arithmetic and figure out how far you move per breath, you can do that. So the thought that it's the same is an illusion. And a lot of it is an illusion. And the thing that connects what's happened in the past with the things that are unfolding in the future is this present moment now. And that bridge of incidence, as we step and we step and we step from one to the next to the next to the next, is the unfoldment. And the one thing that we all have in common with the unfoldment that's going on in our lives is that we're involved. It wouldn't be happening if we weren't here. The fact that you are here is proof that God has need of an instrument here. Whatever it is that we're doing, even if we think that we're playing a bit part, that we're not really that necessary, each one of us is necessary for that next bit of unfoldment. So the prayer is to realize, recognize, and acknowledge that one infinite creative power, that one divine presence, that one limitless love that shares itself as all of its creation, that one that is sharing itself right now as me and each of us, has created everything that exists everywhere for a distinct and individual purpose. It is necessary to the unfolding of what's going on in the universe. Perhaps in ways that might seem trivial or insignificant, perhaps in ways that are keystone elements in whatever is to come next. And we don't know. We are participating in our necessariness in this next activity, in this present moment, to bring about whatever good is unfolding. We are the bridge from what has been to what is possible. So I set the intention now. I open the invitation for that next step to be unfolding in peace and harmony, with clarity and insight, and love and joy for each one. As this next bit of newness comes into being, it is as uplifting and as joyous and harmonious as is possible. Any lessons that need to be learned are learned easily and promptly. Anything that is to be dismissed or dispensed with is brought to our attention and allowed to clear out and go off and do whatever it's going to do. I let loose any claim that the past has influence over what's happening in the future. And I set the intention for each one within the sound of my voice to be clear of that which is theirs to release and that which is theirs to step into next. Allowing that bright light of love, that divine gift of the infinite that each of us is, to express and unfold and experience this next moment in a new and uplifting way. So that's the invitation, that's the intention, that's the impression that is made upon that infinite creative law. And I know it's responding. That's all it does. It always says yes. It always responds. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the good that's coming about. I'm grateful for the clarity, the peace of mind, the newness, the aha moments, and the whoa, that was cool. And so with gratitude for all of this good, I speak this word and release it into the creative law that creates everything. And I know it's creating this newness now. And I let it be. And so it is.
The Practical Prayer Podcast with Reverend Bill Marchiony and Carol Lawrence is a production of BeTheLight.com.
be-the-light.com.
Where you can find more information about practical prayer for real results.
Our theme is by Music of Wisdom. You can learn about the spiritual community of New Thought Philadelphia with daily guided meditations,
Weekly celebrations of spirit,
and Reverend Bill's classes in practical spirituality
at newthoughtphilly.org.
And this concludes the Practical Prayer Podcast for today. I guess we're recording this on the 25th of August, 2025. This would have been my parents' 69th wedding anniversary.
Ooh.
Yeah. That was a while ago. And I periodically do the arithmetic, and then I remember, oh, they got married the same year my wife was born, so this really shouldn't be that difficult.
Oh, okay.
Great conversation today. And I love your necessariness.
Yeah, I said that when I said it, and I thought I actually said I don't even know if that's a word, but it's a word now.
Yeah. I stopped wondering if the words that I was using already existed. Because, but it's the notion of onomatopoeia. When a word sounds like what it means, as long as I can say something and somebody understands it, it doesn't make any difference whether I'm the first person who ever used it. The idea is to take something from my mind and transplant it into somebody else's mind.
Yeah.
And if that works, then good for us.
You know, on a fun note, when I said that yesterday I'm feeling Neville-ish, and then unraveling all of it today, I said we're still Neviling.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and we'll have to read a lot more Neville in order to get completely up to speed on being Neville-ish. But yeah, definitely get it.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. He is only one in my group, shall we say?
Yep.
Just one in the group, but somehow it's his personality that makes him come to the top. Although the others are amazing as well. So yeah.
He was relatively recent, living in a big city.
He's flamboyant.
There you go. All right. Well, let's say thank you to the folks who have been joining us for the recording session on New Thought Media Network. We do this on Mondays. We have not worked out if we're going to do one next Monday, which is Labor Day, which either would be completely contraindicated or who cares. So Carol and I will work that out and just keep an eye and see if we're going to do it. And have a wonderful week.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.